Nestled in the rolling hills of New England, Ashwood Manor loomed like a silent sentinel over the town of Maplewood. Built in the late 1800s by the reclusive philanthropist Jonathan Ashwood, the sprawling estate was known for its grandeur, intricate woodwork, sweeping staircases, and a garden that had once been the envy of the region. But as the years passed, its elegance faded into a shroud of mystery, casting long shadows over the town. The Ashwood family had fallen into disarray after a series of tragic events. Jonathan's wife, Clara, succumbed to a mysterious illness, followed by their only child, a son named Thomas, who disappeared one stormy night. The townsfolk whispered of the house's curse, claiming that the echoes of the past clung to its walls like cobwebs. After the family's departure, the manor stood empty for decades, slowly succumbing to decay. In the spring of 1987, a young couple, Sarah and Michael, driven by dreams of restoration and adventure, purchased Ashwood Manor. They were captivated by its beauty, blind to the unsettling tales that surrounded it. With plans to renovate, they moved in, eager to revive the forgotten glory of the house. From their first night, an unsettling atmosphere enveloped them. Strange noises echoed through the halls, soft footsteps, the rustling of curtains, and sometimes, the unmistakable sound of a child's laughter. Michael laughed it off, attributing the sounds to the house settling. But Sarah felt an ever-growing sense of unease, especially in the nursery, which still held remnants of a child's life. Toys strewn about, a dusty rocking horse, and faded drawings on the walls. One rainy evening, while exploring the attic, Sarah stumbled upon a dusty trunk tucked away in a corner. Inside were letters and photographs belonging to Clara Ashwood, detailing her love for her son and her despair over his disappearance. One letter, in particular, caught Sarah's eye. It spoke of a hidden room within the house, a place where Clara believed her son could be found. The chilling words echoed in Sarah's mind. If only I could reach him. Driven by a mixture of fear and curiosity, Sarah shared her discovery with Michael. They decided to investigate, hoping to uncover the truth behind the Ashwood family's tragic fate. They spent the next few days searching the manor for clues, but their efforts yielded nothing until one fateful night. As a storm raged outside, the couple was awakened by a soft tapping sound. Groggy and confused, they followed the noise, which seemed to lead them toward the nursery. The door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit room filled with an eerie stillness. As they stepped inside, the temperature dropped, and shadows danced along the walls. Suddenly, a soft voice broke the silence. "Help me." Sarah's heart raced. "Did you hear that?" she whispered, gripping Michael's arm. "Yeah, but it's just the wind," he replied, though his voice trembled. Compelled by the voice, they turned to the far wall where a faded mural of a sunny meadow seemed to shift. As they approached, a small door, almost hidden by the shadows, appeared. With a hesitant glance at each other, they opened it, revealing a narrow staircase spiraling down into darkness. Taking a deep breath, they descended the stairs, their footsteps echoing in the confined space. At the bottom, they entered a small, damp room. In the center stood an old wooden chest, covered in dust and cobwebs. With trembling hands, Sarah opened it, revealing a collection of toys, each one meticulously preserved, yet filled with a palpable sadness. As they sifted through the items, the soft voice returned, clearer this time. "Play with me." Michael's eyes widened. "We should leave," he urged, but Sarah felt an irresistible pull toward the voice. "Wait," she said, her heart aching for the lost child. "We can help." In that moment, the atmosphere shifted. The room felt alive with energy, as if the spirits of the Ashwood family were watching, waiting. "We just want to be remembered," the voice whispered again, echoing with the weight of 1,000 sorrows. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and shadows began to swirl around them. Fear surged through Michael. "We need to go. Now." But Sarah stood her ground. "No, we have to acknowledge them." She reached out, cradling one of the toys, a small, worn teddy bear. As she held it close, she felt warmth radiating from the darkness, as if the spirits were drawing near. In that instant, a vision flooded her mind. Thomas, playing joyfully in the garden, then disappearing into the woods, lost to time. The realization washed over her. He hadn't left willingly. Clara's letters had been a plea for closure, for someone to remember her child. "Your story matters," Sarah said, her voice steady. "We'll remember you." As the words left her lips, the room filled with light, and a profound stillness descended. The shadows began to dissipate, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. In that moment, Sarah felt a sense of peace wash over her, as if the spirits were finally free. They emerged from the depths of Ashwood Manor, hearts pounding but spirits lifted. In the years that followed, Sarah and Michael restored the house, transforming it into a museum dedicated to the Ashwood family. The story of Jonathan, Clara, and Thomas became a cherished part of the town's history, ensuring that their voices would never be forgotten. And if you visit Ashwood Manor on a quiet evening, you might still hear the laughter of a child mingling with the rustle of leaves, an everlasting reminder of the love that once flourished within its walls. As the months turned into years, the couple dedicated themselves to honoring the legacy of the Ashwood family. Visitors came from near and far, drawn by tales of the manor's haunting history. The restored rooms were filled with artifacts, photographs, and the whispers of stories long forgotten. Yet, even as the house became a beacon of remembrance, an unsettling energy lingered, as if the spirits were still bound to the walls. One autumn evening, as the leaves crunched underfoot and the air grew crisp, Sarah decided to host a special event, a night of storytelling where guests could share their experiences and connect with the past. She hoped it would offer a sense of community, a way to weave the living with the departed. As twilight settled over the manor, the guests gathered in the grand parlor, its ornate fireplace crackling with warmth. Shadows danced across the walls as the flickering flames cast an amber glow. Sarah welcomed everyone, her voice steady, though a flicker of unease ran through her. She could feel the weight of the manor's history pressing down, urging her to tread carefully. As stories flowed, a young woman named Clara, unbeknownst to Sarah, sharing a name with the late matriarch, stood up. With fiery red hair and an aura of intensity, she captivated the room. "I've always felt a connection to this place," she began, her voice tinged with emotion. "I had dreams about a child calling for help. I thought I was losing my mind." The room fell silent, all eyes on Clara. "But then, one night, I dreamed I was playing with a little boy in a garden. He was so happy, and then he vanished into the woods. I've never understood what it meant." Sarah's heart raced. Could it be that the child still lingered, reaching out to those sensitive enough to hear him? "Do you remember anything else?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Clara nodded, a distant look in her eyes. The garden was beautiful, but it felt wrong somehow, like it was trapped in time. At that moment, the temperature in the room dropped, a chill sweeping through like an unwelcome guest. Sarah exchanged worried glances with Michael. The air grew thick with anticipation. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from the hallway. The guests jumped, and murmurs of confusion rippled through the crowd. Sarah's instincts kicked in. "Let's check it out," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. Gathering a small group, they ventured into the dimly lit corridor. As they approached the source of the noise, they discovered a door that had been flung open, revealing the stairway leading down to the hidden room. It was an unusual sight. Most of them had been sealed tight since their last exploration. Could it be another prank? Michael suggested, though his voice wavered with uncertainty. But Sarah felt a pull toward the door. "No, it's more than that," she said, her pulse quickening. "I think the house wants us to go down there." Clara, still feeling the weight of her earlier vision, stepped forward. "Maybe it's a sign. Perhaps we're meant to uncover more about Thomas." With a collective nod, they descended the staircase, the air growing colder with each step. When they reached the small room, they found the chest still in its place, but the atmosphere felt charged, alive with expectation. As they approached the chest, they noticed something different. The lid, which had been firmly closed, now lay slightly ajar, revealing a faint glow emanating from within. Sarah's heart raced. What secrets lay hidden inside? Clara reached forward first, her fingers trembling as she lifted the lid. Inside, the glow intensified, illuminating not only the toys but also a small, delicate book, a journal belonging to Thomas. "Can you read it?" Michael asked, his breath hitching in anticipation. Clara opened the journal, her voice breaking the tense silence. "It's filled with drawings and notes." She paused, glancing up at the group. He was scared. He felt alone even in the house. As Clara read the entries aloud, a haunting narrative unfolded. Thomas spoke of his loneliness, the joy of playing in the garden, and his fear of being forgotten. But as the entries progressed, the tone shifted. He described shadows that whispered his name, feelings of being watched, and a longing for his mother. Then Clara's voice faltered as she read the last entry. "I can hear her crying. I'm scared. If I don't find her, I will be lost forever." A palpable silence fell over the room. The weight of Thomas's sorrow hung heavily in the air, intertwining with the shadows that danced at the edges of the light. Suddenly, a gust of wind howled through the hallway, extinguishing their candles and plunging the room into darkness. Panic surged through the group as they fumbled for their phones to illuminate the space. The atmosphere felt charged with a strange energy, as if the house itself was awakening. "Quick! We need to get out of here," Michael urged, his voice cutting through the darkness. But Sarah remained rooted in place, drawn to the journal. "No, wait! We can't leave yet." In the dim light of their phones, they could see the outline of a figure forming in the corner of the room. A shadow of a small boy, his face filled with an expression of yearning. "Help me," he whispered, his voice echoing with the pain of ages. Clara stepped forward, her heart racing. "Thomas? Is that you?" The figure nodded, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "I can't find her. I'm lost." In that moment, Sarah realized what they had to do. "We need to help him find Clara," she said, her voice steady despite the fear gnawing at her. "He's been waiting for her to come home." As the shadows swirled around them, the group joined hands, forming a circle around the glowing chest. "We're here for you, Thomas," Clara called out, her voice firm. "We won't let you be lost anymore." With that, the atmosphere shifted once more. The shadows receded, revealing a warmth that enveloped them, a sense of comfort that permeated the air. They could feel the weight of the past lifting, as if the spirits were finally being set free. But even as the whispers of gratitude filled the room, Sarah knew the journey was far from over. They had awakened something ancient, a lingering sorrow that demanded resolution. And as they stood together, united in their purpose, they understood that they had only begun to scratch the surface of the Ashwood family's tragic tale. "Let's find Clara," Sarah whispered, determination sparking in her eyes. "For Thomas, and for all those who have been forgotten." With that, they turned their gaze toward the hidden door, ready to delve deeper into the mysteries that awaited them, prepared to confront the shadows that had haunted Ashwood Manor for far too long. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story. The air buzzed with anticipation as the group steeled themselves for what lay ahead. With Clara leading the way, they made their way back up the staircase, feeling the echo of Thomas's presence guiding them. The dim light from their phones flickered against the walls, casting long, wavering shadows that seemed to breathe with them. Once back in the nursery, Clara paused, her brow furrowed. "If Thomas is looking for his mother, we need to find a way to connect with Clara's spirit. She might know where he is." Sarah nodded, recalling the emotional weight of the letters she had read. "We need to recreate a space that feels familiar to them, a connection to their love and memories." As they began to arrange the nursery, they placed the toys back in their rightful spots, trying to invoke the warmth of a child's playtime. Clara opened the journal again, flipping to the earlier entries. "He wrote about the garden, how he used to play there with her. Maybe if we can draw that memory out, it will help." Just then, a soft sound, a rustle, caught their attention. The window, slightly ajar, fluttered against the wall, allowing a chill to creep into the room. Clara walked over, her heart racing as she pushed it open fully, letting the night air wash over them. "Can you feel that?" she asked, closing her eyes. "It's like he's here with us." Michael stepped closer, peering out into the darkness. "We should go to the garden," he suggested. "If he loved it so much, maybe that's where we'll find the key to bringing them together." With newfound resolve, they left the nursery and made their way down the winding staircase, the old wood creaking beneath their feet. The garden was overgrown, a wild tangle of vines and forgotten flowers, but under the moonlight, it had a beauty that felt alive. The faint glow of fireflies flickered in the air, casting an ethereal light that danced among the leaves. "Here," Clara said, pointing to a spot near the old oak tree, its gnarled roots reaching out like ancient fingers. "This must be where he played." As they gathered around the tree, Clara took a deep breath, her voice steady. "Thomas, we're here. We want to help you find your mother. Can you show us where she is?" The wind picked up suddenly, rustling the branches overhead as if in response. The group stood in silence, hearts pounding. Then, they heard it. A faint melody, like a lullaby carried on the breeze, tugging at their memories and emotions. "What is that?" Sarah whispered, her eyes wide. "It sounds like—" Clara began, but before she could finish, a gentle light emanated from the heart of the garden. It pulsed softly, illuminating a path that led deeper into the thicket. "Let's follow it," Michael urged, glancing back at the others. Together, they stepped into the shadows of the garden, their hearts racing with both excitement and trepidation. The path wound through the overgrown foliage, the gentle glow growing brighter with each step. As they ventured deeper, the air shifted, growing heavy with the weight of memories. The trees seemed to whisper secrets, their leaves rustling as if sharing the stories of the past. And then, they emerged into a small clearing, a hidden sanctuary bathed in silvery moonlight. In the center stood a weathered stone bench, worn smooth by time, and beside it lay a delicate doll, one that Clara recognized immediately from the journal. "This was Thomas's favorite," she breathed, kneeling to pick it up. As she held the doll, the lullaby grew louder, wrapping around them like a warm embrace. Clara closed her eyes, feeling the connection deepen. "I think this is where they used to come together," she said softly. "It's a place of love." Suddenly, the temperature dropped again, and they felt a presence materializing nearby. The air crackled with energy as a figure began to take shape, an ethereal woman with soft features and flowing hair. Clara's breath caught in her throat. "Clara?" The spirit looked down at them, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "You've come to help my son." Her voice was a gentle whisper, filled with the weight of sorrow and longing. "Yes," Clara replied, her voice trembling. "We want to reunite you. He's been searching for you." The spirit's gaze turned toward the doll in Clara's hands, and a flicker of recognition lit her eyes. "He always loved that doll. He thought it could protect me." As she spoke, a shift occurred in the atmosphere. The shadows around them seemed to pulse with energy, drawing closer as if to witness this long-awaited reunion. "Thomas, can you hear me?" Clara called out, her heart racing. "We've brought your mother to you." The garden glowed brighter, the leaves rustling in anticipation. For a moment, everything felt suspended in time, as if the world had held its breath. Then, from the depths of the shadows, a small figure appeared. A young boy, his face illuminated by the soft light. Thomas stepped forward, his expression a mix of hope and longing. "Mom," he whispered, his voice a fragile thread. The spirit of Clara reached out, her hand trembling as she stepped closer. "Thomas, my sweet boy, I've missed you so much." Tears glistened in the boy's eyes as he took a tentative step forward. "I thought you were gone forever." In that instant, the air shimmered with a powerful energy. The space between them seemed to dissolve, bridging the gap of years and sorrow. Clara knelt, wrapping her arms around Thomas, pulling him close as they both began to glow with a warm light. The garden transformed, filling with a brilliance that drove away the shadows. Sarah, Michael, and the others watched in awe as the love between mother and son illuminated the night, weaving together the fragments of their lost connection. But just as the moment felt complete, the ground beneath them trembled slightly. A pulse of energy surged through the garden, and Clara, still holding the doll, glanced back at the group. "You've helped us, but there's still work to do. The past isn't fully at peace." "What do you mean?" Sarah asked, a knot of worry tightening in her chest. Clara's spirit turned, her expression both grateful and serious. "The shadows still hold memories, others who have been lost. We must release them, too." With that, the light around them grew stronger, illuminating paths through the garden that seemed to lead into the very fabric of time itself. "We can't leave them behind," Thomas echoed, looking at the group with earnest eyes. Realizing the weight of their task, Sarah felt a surge of determination. "Then we'll help you. We'll bring everyone home." As the garden pulsed with renewed energy, they stepped forward, ready to confront the shadows and unlock the secrets of Ashwood Manor. Knowing that their journey had only just begun, the past called out to them and they were prepared to answer. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story. The air shimmered with a palpable energy as Clara, Thomas, and the group stood in the glowing garden, a nexus of unresolved memories and emotions. They could feel the weight of countless spirits lingering nearby, waiting for their chance to be acknowledged. "Where do we start?" Michael asked, glancing around at the swirling shadows that clung to the edges of the clearing, hesitant yet drawn to the light. "We need to call them," Clara said, her voice steady despite the uncertainty surrounding them. "We can invite them to join us. They might be lost, but they're not beyond reach." Sarah nodded, a sense of purpose igniting within her. "Let's create a circle just like before. We'll focus our energy on inviting them in, making this a place of reunion." The group joined hands once more, forming a tight circle in the center of the garden. Clara held the doll close, a tangible symbol of love and connection, as Thomas positioned himself beside her, looking between the group and the encroaching shadows. "Can you feel them?" Clara whispered, her eyes closed as she concentrated. "They're all around us." The wind picked up again, rustling the leaves and sending a shiver down Sarah's spine. She could feel the weight of countless souls pressing against the veil between worlds, yearning for release. "Come to us," she called, her voice ringing with conviction. "We honor you. We remember you." As if in response, a chorus of whispers filled the air. Echoes of laughter, cries of sorrow, and the gentle hum of voices long silenced. The shadows began to shift, coalescing into forms that flickered just beyond the light, revealing silhouettes of figures trapped between worlds. "Do you see them?" Thomas exclaimed, pointing toward the shapes that danced just out of reach. "They're here. Let them know they're not alone," Clara urged, her voice rising above the growing noise. "They can come home." The group focused their thoughts, drawing upon their shared energy, calling out to the spirits with kindness and compassion. "You are not forgotten. We are here to help you find peace." The whispers grew louder, a tapestry of voices weaving together, resonating with emotion. One figure stepped forward, a young girl with long, dark hair and a sunken expression. "I've been waiting for so long," she said, her voice filled with longing. "I want to go home." "Come, sweet child," Clara beckoned, her heart aching for the girl's suffering. "You don't have to be lost anymore. We're here for you." The girl hesitated, glancing back at the shadows that clung to her. "I'm scared," she whispered. "Fear not," Sarah spoke softly, her heart reaching out to the girl. "You are surrounded by love now. We will guide you." As the group's energy intensified, the girl stepped closer, her form becoming clearer. "I remember the garden," she murmured. "It was my favorite place." "Then come with us," Thomas urged, extending his small hand toward her. "You can be free." With a gentle sigh, the girl reached out, her fingers brushing against Thomas's. Instantly, a wave of warmth surged through the air, and the shadows receded, drawn away by the light. The girl's expression transformed from sorrow to hope, and with a sudden burst, She was enveloped in a radiant glow. As the light expanded, other shadows began to swirl closer, drawn by the girl's release. They moved hesitantly, but as the atmosphere brightened, more figures emerged, each bearing their own stories of loss and longing. "Who are you?" a tall man with a weary face asked, stepping forward. "What do you want from us?" "We want to help you find peace," Clara replied, her voice unwavering. "You don't have to remain trapped. We're here to remember you." "Remember us?" the man echoed, confusion etched on his features. "No one remembers the lost. We are forgotten." "No," Sarah interjected, her voice firm. "We remember. All of you matter. You have stories that deserve to be told." A murmur of agreement rippled through the gathered spirits, and the air pulsed with an emotional intensity that drew them closer. As more figures approached, Sarah recognized the familiarity in their expressions. The anguish of lives interrupted, the yearning for connection. "We all have someone who loved us," Clara continued, her heart full. "Let us honor your memories. Let us tell your stories." With those words, the energy shifted again, the light expanding like a beacon in the night. One by one, the spirits began to step forward, encouraged by Clara's compassion. Their forms solidified, each figure representing a life once lived. A child, a mother, a farmer, a soldier, all yearning for connection. In that moment, Sarah realized that Ashwood Manor was not merely a house of shadows. It was a repository of stories waiting to be shared. "We'll create a space for you, a way to remember," she promised, her voice filled with conviction. "You will not be forgotten." As they stood in the garden, surrounded by the spirits of the lost, they could feel the past intertwining with the present. It was a tapestry woven with love, pain, and hope, a chance for redemption. Clara began to hum the lullaby that had first drawn them together, and soon, the group joined in, their voices rising to meet the night sky. The spirits responded, their voices joining the chorus, creating a hauntingly beautiful symphony that echoed through the garden. It was a call to the lost, a reminder that they were loved, and that their stories would live on. But just as the moment reached its crescendo, a dark shadow loomed at the edge of the clearing, shifting and swirling with a malevolence that sent chills down their spines. This was not a spirit longing for connection. It was something darker, an entity that thrived on despair and fear. "What is that?" Michael whispered, his voice trembling. "I don't know," Sarah replied, her heart racing. "But we can't let it interfere. We need to protect the others." Clara's spirit remained resolute. "If we stand together, we can push it back. We have the power of love and remembrance on our side." With determination, the group tightened their circle, focusing their energy on the light that now surrounded them. "You don't belong here," Clara shouted, her voice steady despite the encroaching darkness. "You cannot hold these souls captive any longer." The entity recoiled, swirling angrily as it sought to extinguish the light. But the group's resolve only grew stronger, their voices rising in harmony, drowning out the whispers of despair. They drew upon the energy of the spirits, allowing their love to fuel their strength. "Together," Sarah urged, her heart pounding. "We can do this." As they poured their hearts into the chant, the air crackled with power, illuminating the garden in a brilliant white light. The darkness writhed, but the collective force of love and remembrance pressed against it, forcing it back into the shadows from whence it came. "Feel our love," Clara cried, her spirit shining brighter than ever. "You cannot take what is ours." With one final surge of energy, the group pushed the darkness away, the air humming with victory as the shadows dissipated into nothingness. The spirits of the lost began to shine, their forms illuminated by the light, and with a rush of gratitude, they swirled around the group in a radiant display. As the garden settled into a profound stillness, a sense of peace enveloped them. The danger had passed, and the shadows were gone. But the journey was far from over. "Now we must honor their stories," Clara said, her spirit glowing with warmth. "We need to create a space where they can be remembered, where their voices will be heard." Sarah felt a deep resolve stirring within her. "Then let's build a place of memory," she said, inspired. "A sanctuary for all those who have been lost. A place where their stories will live on, intertwined with our own." As they looked around the garden, Sarah could envision the transformation. The vibrant blooms of flowers, the laughter of children playing, and the spirit of the Ashwood family finally at rest. But even as hope surged within her, she understood that their journey would continue, for there were still more stories to uncover, more spirits to honor. "We'll make sure you're remembered," Sarah promised, looking into the eyes of the spirits surrounding them. "You will all have a voice." And with that promise hanging in the air, the group turned toward Ashwood Manor, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. They would weave together the fabric of the past and the present, forging a new legacy that would shine brightly against the darkness. The echoes of the lost would guide them, and together, they would create a home where memories could finally find peace. As the group stood united in the garden, the spirits swirled around them, each shimmering with a newfound light. Clara, holding the doll tightly, felt a warmth wash over her, a sense of closure that had long been denied. "We'll build a sanctuary," Sarah declared, her voice resolute, "a place for stories, where every soul can be remembered." With the help of the spirits, they began to visualize the transformation of Ashwood Manor. The once dim rooms would become vibrant spaces filled with photographs, artifacts, and tales of love and loss. Each corner would hold echoes of laughter and memories that would resonate through the generations. As they returned to the manor, the atmosphere shifted, no longer haunted by shadows, but infused with hope and remembrance. The spirits watched, smiling, as the group worked tirelessly to restore the house to its former glory. Months passed, and the sanctuary opened to the public, welcoming visitors eager to connect with the past. The stories of the Ashwood family and the spirits of the lost filled the halls, intertwining their fates with those of the living. Clara often felt Thomas by her side, guiding her as she shared his story with those who came to listen. The garden flourished, becoming a memorial where visitors could reflect and honor their own lost loved ones. One peaceful evening, as the sun set behind the manor, Clara placed the doll at the foot of the oak tree, a symbol of the love that had transcended time. "You're home now," she whispered, and as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, the spirits of Ashwood Manor found their peace at last, their stories forever woven into the hearts of those who remembered. The darkness that once lingered had been replaced with a tapestry of light, and the echoes of the past would continue to resonate through the ages. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story.